to explore the Hebrew roots of your Christian faith? Then grab your Bible and let's get started.
Shabbat Shalom and welcome back to Reconcile with the Kingdom. So it is official. We have entered into December. This is the month that we have both Hanukkah and Christmas. For those of you who plan on honoring Hanukkah, I recommend you to read the book of Maccabees to understand why you are celebrating Hanukkah and not to get caught up in the tradition that is taught by men. Now, Christmas is a whole nother tradition all by itself, and it should not be among believers, should not be practicing Christmas. At least the believers of the Messiah. We have to know when something is eisegesis. We should know when someone is looking into the Bible, finding what they want to find without the true meaning of what the writer is teaching. Anytime you're reading Luke chapter 2, verse 1 through 20, in any of the scriptures, and coming up with the Christmas story, then you're using eisegesis. Luke was not writing for the intention of the people to celebrate Christmas. The Messiah's birth has nothing to do with Christmas, but the book of Ruth has everything to do with the Messiah. Welcome to Reconcile the Kingdom, where we're working towards growing in harmony of the whole word of truth. My name is Patrice Robinson, and I greatly appreciate every last one of you who stopped by during this live premiere and those who will be joining me on the replay. Most definitely, everyone is welcome here. Now, if this is your first time visiting me, I welcome you. 50th time, 100th time, 400th time. I most definitely am greatly appreciative that you are giving me the opportunity to be in front of you on today. And of course, any other day that you watch me during the week. Now, I'm hoping that you have the opportunity to take a look at things in the YouTube channel and you understand, especially the 5 picks, foundational picks, which give you understanding what this ministry is about. You should take a look at that first, but I'm hoping that you get ready to join this family, that does not mind searching the scriptures, a family that does not mind challenging the religious system teachings that we have been under for hundreds of years. A family that's open to become a lifetime student of the Bible and ready to explore the Hebrew roots of your Christian faith. And you can easily join this family. It is easy because all you have to do is hit that subscribe button below. And don't forget the bell, because the bell lets you know when I'm live, any updates, or any announcements that will be coming from this ministry. That is not the only way you support this ministry. You can support this ministry by making comments in the comment box. I appreciate those comments. I appreciate the questions, the emojis, anything that you want to send me in a respectful manner. Most definitely, I like communicating with people. Share the link when you're live. Share the link when you're on the replay, because you know my saying, if you are learning something, someone else can learn something. Give me a thumbs up and let me know that you enjoying the biblical content that I'm sharing with you. And this also lets YouTube know that they need to send this ministry out to more people. So that thumbs up is important to this ministry. Follow me on the Facebook, on Instagram, Pinterest, Spotify, and YouTube podcasts. And all those areas are important because some of them have different things going on inside of them. Shop in the digital online shop. So as you know, that I have created individual Bible companions and workbook Bible companions for those who are exploring the Hebrews of your Christian faith and you're studying the Bible as it is written without the tradition of man. So right now we are in the book of Ruth. And so this is Ruth wrote book that we'll be using on today. And on Tuesday, we are in the book of Exodus. And oh my goodness, Exodus, I'm really enjoying that as any other book. But this is the workbook for Exodus. And you can find these workbooks in the digital online shop available for you. Donate in the love drawer. So when you donate in the love drawer, you're donating for me to continue to work on the back end of the ministry, of course, the front end of the ministry, because there's other things that needs to be done. And this is not about trying to get a tax write-off or anything like that. You're donating in the love drawer so we can move the ministry forward and continue going. And this is all this different ways to support the ministry that you can choose. All of this is in the description box that you can take a look at the end of the teaching on today. And of course, that's available to you during the replay. I appreciate all of you who do take the time out and you purchase the workbook and you purchase the individual um, Bible companion. And there's also some free items in the online digital shop that you can download and just keep for yourself, to be useful tool as you're on this journey. Now, I don't want you to forget, in today's teaching at the end, you're able to ask questions. You're able to ask questions about the teaching that is presented to you on today. I encourage that. I encourage, again, making comments and sharing the link throughout the teaching. So we will, as usual, we are going to go over the key points for the previous teaching for the book of Ruth. So let me pull up my sheet so far. So my Ruth sheet for chapter 1 is already getting impacted with information. And we didn't even complete Ruth chapter 1. So again, next week I'll probably have to make some arrangements to put all the information in there because Ruth has so much in there. So for chapter 1, part 1 of Ruth, these are the key points that jumped out to me. So Elimelech, Naomi, Malone, and Chilion left Bethlehem, Judah to go to Moab because there's a famine. Now, along chapter 1, you will read that the Ephrathites of Bethlehem, Judah. And so people will assume that means Ephraim, like the tribe of Ephraim was among Bethlehem, Judah, and this is where this came from. But no. So this is the reason why Genesis, Exodus, and all the Torah is important to you, because if you were looking at the book of Ruth with that background information, you will already remember that this is the place that Rachel, Jacob, formerly named Jacob, his name then changed to Israel. This is where she was buried. So the name Ephrathites is the name of the place before it became Bethlehem, Judah. So the family was in Moab for about 10 years. Along those 10 years, we had Naomi, who lost her husband, and then we have her sons most definitely getting married to two Moabite women, Ruth and Ophrah. Now, the deal about this is that no mom or dad or anyone decided to go among the tribe of Judah to get wives. They got wives with the Moabites. And we discussed last week why that wasn't supposed to happen according to the Torah, although they did it. And of course, that's in your cross reference. So now we have Naomi, who lost her husband. She's a widow. She lost her two sons, which there was no one to take care of her. In the midst of this, we have Ruth, Ophrah, and Naomi. All three women are widows. Naomi heard that Judah has now been prosperous and she's ready to return home. So those are my key points from Ruth chapter 1, part 1, the cross reference so far, and the questions that we have before you. No word study at this time, and I have not shared any insight at this time. So we're going to continue on with Ruth part 2. Now, before we go to verse 14, because we left off of verse 13 in chapter 1 of Ruth, I'm probably go up a little bit farther, but I want you to make sure that you have your Bible before you. All the writing utensils that you need, make sure you have your workbook or your worksheet, or a piece of paper in front of you, because we are going to continue and finish chapter 1 on today. And we are paying attention if there are any other writings, any other letters, any other books that we have to connect to give us a full understanding of the remaining part of chapter 1 of Ruth. We have to understand the contents as it is written. No eisegesis. We have to know what it is saying to us at that time, at the people at that time, and for us today. On your own, you should be using your study tools. You should be using the Strong's, the Bible dictionary, whatever Bible software that you need to make sure you get an understanding of Ruth itself. So once again, we are on Ruth chapter 1. I'm going to go all the way to verse 11 to set us up for the remaining part of Ruth. Ruth chapter 1, verse 11. And Naomi said, turn again, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb, that they may be your husbands? Turn again, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I would say, I have hope, if I should have a husband also tonight, and should also bear sons, would you tarry for them till they are grown? Would you stay for them for having husbands? Nay, my daughters, for it grieved me much for your sake that the hand of Yehovah is gone against me. Verse 14. And they lift up their voice and wept again. And Ophrah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. And she said, behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back into her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thou sister-in-law. Ophrah decided to go back to her old lifestyle. She decided that she once again served the Moabitess God. Ophrah once lived with the Israelite family, and she was beginning to learn. She was learning and serving Jehovah while she was with the family. Clearly, that was what was happening, because Ruth said she returned unto her gods. So actually, they were serving more than one God. However, Ophrah made this decision. Ruth, on the other hand, she decided she didn't want to go back to that lifestyle. That is the lifestyle she grew up with. She fully understood what the gods were, what they're supposed to serve, what they're supposed to do. She grew up with that. Ruth did not want to leave her mother-in-law, nor did she want to leave the people, the culture that she learned about Yehovah, because for some reason, by the grace of Yehovah, she was given peace and experience Yehovah and didn't want to leave that. This was an experience she didn't want to let go of. No matter what Naomi said to Ruth, she was not going back home. She was not going back to her family, her people, or her gods. She was not about to allow her mother-in-law to be alone. Actually, she was honoring her mother. Once Ruth married into the family of Judah, she clave unto that family. Ruth's husband was no longer here to support Naomi, no longer here to honor his mother, but his wife was still here. She was still able to honor her mother. Beautiful. It was just the grace of Yehovah that this was happening. Verse 16. And Ruth said, entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go. Where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, thy Elohim, my Elohim. Where thou diest, will I die. There I will be buried. Jehovah, do so to me more also, if aught but death part thee and me. What a bond of love. What loyalty. What respect. Ruth was not about to let Naomi leave without her. She may have been watching Naomi all these years and seen the light. So Naomi became a light to Ruth. Ruth did not want to go back to her people for nothing in the world. She didn't want to go back to honor this gods. I know one of the gods was what, Chemosh. I think that's how you pronounce it, Chemosh. Now I know one part of their rituals was to sacrifice children. Ruth didn't want to have anything to do with that. She wanted to be among Jehovah's people and serve Jehovah. Let your Elohim be my Elohim. She wanted to be wherever Naomi went. This book of Ruth actually gives us a testimony about Naomi. Naomi must have presented herself as a woman of God, woman of Elohim, of Jehovah in front of Ruth. Ruth said, let nothing depart us, but death. Naomi may have been that mother that Ruth had never had by showing that light. That light allowed Ruth accept Jehovah. I'm telling you, that to me is enough. It's a testimony about Naomi and what she has done through the years, that those 10 years or longer that she witnessed. Verse 18. When she saw that she was steadfastly minded to her, that she left speaking unto her. So they too went until they came to Bethlehem. And it came to pass when they come to Bethlehem that all the city was moved about them. And they said, is this Naomi? So what it boils down to is that Naomi saw the sincerity of Ruth's eyes and the sincerity of her words. And she knew she was not able to delay, prevent, stop Ruth from coming with her. Naomi Ruth went to Bethlehem. Now, what I find interesting is that the city was stirred up because Naomi came back, which makes me wonder if Naomi and her husband and her family were prosperous, famous, or well-known or well-to-do people of wealth. Because the city recognized Naomi, recognized that she had came back to the promised land that was allotted to Judah, Bethlehem. Let's continue. Verse 20. And she said unto them, call me not Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty hath dealt very bitterly with me. I went out full, and Jehovah hath brought me home again empty. Why then call me Naomi, seeing Jehovah had testified against me, and the Almighty had afflicted me? So Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, with her, which returned out of the country of Moab. And they came to Bethlehem in the beginning of the barley harvest. So the barley harvest is important to take a note of. But before we get to that, so Naomi and her family left Bethlehem, Judah, full, happy. She had her husband, she had her 2 sons, and so she was full. Now they passed away. Not only did they pass away, they are buried in a foreign land. They actually buried in Moab. So she left the full house as Naomi, which if you look up Naomi's name in the Strong's H5281 means my delight. And she came back without any descendants. No husband, no children, no grandchildren, nothing. She came back as Mara. Bitterness is what that means. If you look it up, it's H4755, means bitterness. There was not one child born among her sons. So it's empty. There's no descendants. Ruth is with her at this time. But Naomi is unable to see how Ruth will be a blessing to her. Naomi was caught up into her despair. She couldn't see that Yehovah was with her. She's unable to see past her situation. Does this not sound familiar to what we do, how we are in the midst of our trial, in the midst of our tribulation? Things is going chaotic around us. Some of us have a hard time looking past those situations, not understanding and holding on and believing that Jehovah is the one that directs our path. Jehovah is in the midst of this. We can't see him. We don't know how it's going to work out until you pray and let him open your eyes and let him speak to you. But we get so caught up into we are seeing in the natural that sometimes it's difficult for us to see spiritually what is going on. And this is the situation that Naomi is in. She's in this situation, but she returns home. Naomi and Ruth are coming to Bethlehem, Judah, and they're coming during the beginning of the barley harvest. The barley harvest, that should ring a bell for those who have been with me for a while, those who are the Messianic, Hebrew roots, or even the Jewish faith or Israelite. Because this harvest that's written in here is giving us a timeline. It's giving us a timeline of the time that Naomi and Ruth return back. The barley harvest is the time of the week of Passover and unleavened bread and the first fruits. The barley is the first fruit offering. So Naomi is returning at a time when the people are getting prepared and going up to Jerusalem for the Passover celebration. Well, would it be Jerusalem or would it be, no, it would actually be Shiloh or Shiloh for some, because that's where the tabernacle is at this time, because this is all during the book of Judges. So again, this is why some of the Jewish, the Messianic, and Hebrew roots read the book of Ruth around the feast of Sukkot. I know that many denominations and non-denominational religious systems has adopted first fruit. They are doing it according to the traditions of men and not according to the Bible. Again, this is called eisegesis. There's no way that you can count up the day to give first fruit without Passover and unleavened bread. You won't be able to do that. Now, there's actually two first fruits, which I kind of spoke of a little bit. There's a first fruits for the barley, and there's a first fruit for the wheat. So the barley first fruit is doing the Passover week, first Passover and unleavened bread. And the wheat first fruits is doing the Feast of Weeks, Pentecost. I don't understand how they are doing denominations, non-denomination religious systems, or honoring first fruit without honoring the feast, because the feast give us the time to offer the first fruits. Again, we have so many traditions of men, eisegesis, that it becomes difficult for people to understand what the Bible is teaching you. So many of you are offering first fruits without Passover, unleavened bread, or the Feast of Weeks. I want to tell you, you're following the tradition of men. Plain and simple. This and other traditions, how can I say this? This and other traditions, they causing problems with Yehovah words. So you put your traditions of first fruits offering, denomination, non-denomination systems, put that tradition above Jehovah's word because you're not using Jehovah's word. So you're making his word ineffective. This is the very thing that the Messiah went against when it came to the children of Israel in the time of the Brit Hadashah in the New Testament. This is the very teachings that he was going against. Anytime that you are adding to the word, following the tradition of men, eisegesis, you are not following the Messiah. You're not following the Father, the Messiah, that he sent the Messiah to teach us how to walk with him. I'm sorry to say, you follow the tradition of men if you are doing the first fruits without the feast. Now we have that cleared up, I want to kind of dip into Ruth chapter 2, verse 1 and 2, because I want us to be set up for chapter 2. And this is the very reason why verse 1 and 2 is here. And Naomi had a kinsman of her husband's man, a mighty man of wealth, of the family of Elimelech, and his name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabitess said unto Naomi, let me now go to the field and glean ears of corn after him, in whose sight I shall find grace. And she said unto her, go, my daughter. So the writer is giving us some background information about who Ruth will be meeting, Boaz. So it says that he is a mighty man of wealth. So when we are studying the word of Yehovah, especially in Exodus last week, we went over the word mighty, because mighty does not always mean strength. It can be numerous. It can be a number. So here in Ruth chapter 2, that mighty also means strength. So it's not numerous. So you find that H1368. So we have to be careful about the word of Yehovah. Boaz is from the bloodline of Elimelech. He is a kinsman, which is important for you to understand. So in the meanwhile, while they're giving information about who Boaz is, Ruth is aware that she can glean from the field of grain. Remember, there's no corn in that time. I know your King James Version says corn, but there's no corn. It is grain. So she is aware that she can go to the field of grain. Naomi encouraged her because there's no man to take care of them. There's no man to supply their needs, to take care of them, to make sure that they're fed. Ruth is in the land that she has never been before, but she's aware of the laws. She's aware of the instructions and the teachings, that she understands that she's able to go to the field. Now, what instruction is she actually following? Better yet, what instruction does the farmer have to follow and to allow Ruth to come into their field? I'm going to go into the Torah, Leviticus chapter 19, verses 9 through 10. This is where this is coming from. When you reap the harvest of your land, you are not to reap to the very edges of the field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. You must not strip your vineyard bare, or gather all its fallen grapes. Leave them for the poor and the foreigner. I am Yehovah your Elohim. So this is way back in Leviticus that Ruth is following. Now, Moses reminded the children of Israel, when you get to the land, this is what you're supposed to do. We're going to read this also in Deuteronomy 24, verses 21 through 22. When you gather the grapes of your vineyard, you must not go over the vines again. What remains will be for the foreigner, the fatherless, and the widow. Remember that you were slaves in the land of Egypt. Therefore, I'm commanding you to do this. So Yehovah reminds the children of Israel how they were treated, and not to treat the foreigners, the fatherless, or the widows in that manner. He is most definitely considering the people that's in the land. So you mean that Jehovah set up the kingdom, his instructions, his constitution to take care of the poor, the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow? Yes. So the people, the stranger, the poor, the fatherless, the widows, were allowed to come on your property to glean to ensure no one goes hungry. And this was allowed during the harvest time. This is why Moses was able to say and for, to write, because we're reading about it. Surely this great nation is wise and understanding people. He said that because of the statutes and the ordinance that Yehovah had put in place for his people to follow. Yehovah knows best. We think we know best, but Yehovah knows what is best for humankind. So he written it there. He did what is best for humankind. I am all done for the teaching on today, but I do not see any questions and any comments and things like that. You are able to do this during the replay. I most definitely address those. Once again, I want us to understand why we are celebrating Hanukkah. What is that tradition about? I want you to understand what Christmas is and understanding the difference between eisegesis and exegesis. That will take you farther along in the word of Jehovah than anything. If you like this biblical content that's before you, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up on your way out. And don't forget to share the link, share with your friends, your family, your loved ones, because we all need to understand the foundation, the doctrine of the word of Jehovah as it is written. May Jehovah bless you and keep you. May Jehovah shine his face on you and give you his favor. May he shine his face towards you and give you his peace. All in the mighty name of Yeshua. May Jehovah bless you. Have a blessed rest of the week. And I will see you on Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. for Exodus chapter 2. And next Saturday, we will go on to Ruth chapter 2 and complete that. Thank you.